All right, good evening, everybody. It is Steve with Real Progressives. It's been a long time since I've sat in my little bat chair in my bat cave to do my bat streams. And tonight I'm going to take a shot at it. It's a little bit later than normal, but that's the way it goes. I want to give everyone that follows us an apology real quickly. Life's been a little crazy for me here lately, and I want to just be clear with everyone. Unemployment hasn't been very much fun. My son, who is autistic, has been absolutely going through hell with the sleep schedule. So it has really thrown off my patterns because, let's be fair, absolutely nothing comes before my child. So that is first and foremost. If I can fit a stream in, I do it. If I can't, I don't do it. It's that simple. So the family's trying to work out a schedule that I can predict, because I can't schedule guests when I don't know if my son's going to be available. He's going to allow me, if you will, to do these shows. And it's very important that I stay consistent. I really like having a set time. That's when Steve's going live. I think it gives everybody an opportunity to prepare, gives me a chance to be better prepared to do my research in advance. So I have put on a really good show for you to make it worth your time. I mean, folks, this is, your time's important too. I want to make sure that if you're going to sit there and listen to me, that it's worth the time you spent with me. So I'm doing my best. Please bear with me, and I appreciate your support. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that I feel it's probably something I've talked about in different ways in the past, but I'm really going to hyper focus on this tonight. I did a live stream the other day. I was a little bit silly trying to, maybe joke around a little bit about the straight line, the quickest way to, from point A to point B is a straight line. And I talked about an image that Stephanie Kelton had used in a tweet that I felt like was appropriate to show. And so I'll go ahead and put that up next to me here real quickly. This right here was, a good tweet, really. And she basically said, on the one side is the MMT way of paying for a Green New Deal. And on the other side is everybody else's way. I'm going to show you that for a moment. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I think that it's important that we understand Real Progressives is not here to tell you you're stupid. I'm not here to tell you that you don't have valid points. I'm not here to tell you the things that matter to you don't matter. I'm not here to tell you anything like that. I am here to tell you, though, that there is a better way. There is a way that cuts out a lot of the noise, that cuts out a lot of the misdirection, that gets us from point A to point B much quicker and much more effective. Now, it's your choice whether you listen to me or not. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to fight like mad, like everything's on the line based on this silly image right here. Everything that you hear me do, everything you see me do is based on understanding that there is a fast way to the finish line, a correct way to the finish line, one that doesn't allow for a lot of nonsense. So tonight's discussion is going to be cutting through a lot of that nonsense. I'm going to show you another image real quickly. This image right here is something many of you all have probably seen before. This image shows the wealth distribution around the world, not just in the US, but around the world. It's a few years old, but the image still is very pertinent no matter what. This, champagne glass right here, this wine glass, whatever, it shows that gray area is pretty much the 99% right there. That right there is mostly most of the people in the world live in that gray, very, very narrow band. And, we oftentimes focus on, people that we can see as the problem. We always look at people and we say, they're the problem. They make too much money or whatever. But the reality is we're all the 99%. Even the people that look like they're doing much better than you are still part of the 99%. Republicans, Greens, Libertarians, it doesn't matter. Democrats, independents. We all fit in that gray area. And that gray area right there lacks any kind of real meaningful security in this life. You know, we're left to fight amongst each other for breadcrumbs. And you can see very clearly by that narrow band right there, you can see how very little is spread amongst the masses, but how much is spread out at the very top. Imagine, if you will, all of us coming together and understanding how economics works so that we could, in fact, fight an enemy like this. You know, you've got so much poverty in this world. You've got so much pain and suffering in this world. And it's not political. Folks, I'm telling you right now, you can sit there and you can talk about your party till the cows come home. You can talk about starting a third party if you want. You can start talking about your Green Party. You can talk about Dem-Enter, all that stuff. It doesn't matter. It's going to take a movement bigger than the 30% your party inhabits, or the 20%, or the 5%, or the 50%. It doesn't matter. It's going to take a movement, a real, legitimate movement to overcome the challenges that we face. And I want you to understand, as we look at what's going on in Yemen, as we look at what's going on in Palestine, as we look at what's going on at the Mexican border, as we look what's going on in and around the world, we realize that hate is being fostered amongst the little people. The wealthy don't see this stuff. They're in walled gardens. They're in walled, really nice little, rehabs, little oases. They're on private jets. They don't even fly first class, much less coach. And, we're sitting there fighting amongst ourselves, trying to figure out how to find the cheese. And I'm bringing this picture back up so you understand that everything that I'm talking about is eliminating the noise, because everything that we're fighting for is about how do we get a little bit more of the piece of the pie. Republicans think that when you try to take their tax dollars from them, you're taking a piece of their pie. And you are, because we don't need to raise taxes on people. Okay? We don't. Because those federal taxes don't pay for anything, right? We already see that the rentier class, the people that are extracting wealth through investment, all that at the top, they're the ones making money hand over fist. Their money's working for them to the point where they never have to work another day in their life if they don't want to. The rest of us, not so much. Not so much. And, I sit there the other night and I couldn't get off the couch. I couldn't move off the couch. I had a stack of things that had to be done, a long list of things that had to be done. But I couldn't get off the couch. Gravity sucked me into the couch. A deep, overwhelming tired hit me. Exhaustion that went beyond just a lack of sleep. Folks, I was depressed. I was feeling beaten down. Because I won't go. I won't go with you on this. I refuse to get caught up in that squiggly line bullshit. And when I don't address that somebody thinks Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a sellout or something like that, or when I don't address the fact that Bernie Sanders did something when I don't focus on that, because I'm not going to, I focus on the fact that they are elevating our cause, whether they're Greens, whether they're Dems, whether they're independents. I don't care. It's the movement. And the more people that understand this stuff, the better chance we have of surviving. And unfortunately, way too many people want me to get caught up in those spinny webs. And I find myself hating them. Folks, do you understand what I'm saying? I find myself hating them. Deep within my heart, hating them. And I'm like, wow, why am I hating them so much? And it's because you're exhausting me, not you, but you. You're exhausting me, making me chase every rabbit trail, making me chase every vapor, making me chase every friggin' whisper or gossip or rumor. Who has time for it? Who would want to? Folks, I got so beat down I couldn't get off the couch. I tried to take a week off of Real Progressives just to recharge my batteries and couldn't. I couldn't take a week off of Real Progressives. And here we are. I still am full of anger, and I don't want to feel that way. It's not at my team. It's not any one person. It's that feeling of knowing the truth, of knowing how simple this shit is, and trying to explain to people, look, the only reason why they can get away with slow playing the changes that need to happen is because I still spend most of my day fighting with regular people amongst that narrow little gray area in this image right here. I still spend more of my time fighting with the people in the gray in this area, telling them that it's not going to cause inflation, that it's not going to cause hyperinflation. The Federal Reserve is not privately owned, for God's sake, that the Rothschilds don't own America. That, oh my God, that we don't have the banks just, and it's Congress. If Congress doesn't regulate the banks, then the banks are going to do crazy shit. And I say, wow, I see this kid misbehaving at the mall. Do I get angry at the little kid, or do I look at the mom and dad and say, keep control of your kid? You got to train up your children. Or do I just have a soft heart and say, hey, shit happens, whatever. Point is, it's always this misdirection, right? If I like watching the National Football League and the referees are allowing people to take their helmets and smack people in the face with them, okay, I don't like the players for hitting people in the face with the helmets. But the reality is that the league, which sets the rules that can punish them and stop that, is allowing it. So who should I blame? Probably both. But the real deal is I'm blaming the people that have the ability to control the problem and that are choosing not to. In that case, I'm blaming our federal government. Banks only do what they do because the federal government doesn't control them. Corporations only rape and pillage because our government doesn't allow them. You say you want small government. Well, small government allows corporations to run rampant on your life. You need big government to keep corporations out of doing that. It's this oxymoron. I never understand it. But ultimately, you've got to look at who the authority is. And so the people, because they're confused, because they're spun in a million different ways, They end up exhausting everyone around them, chasing tales of the Rothschilds, chasing QAnon fantasies, chasing all this other bullshit. And it's exhausting. I liken this to being at a dinner table in hell, by the way. And you're sitting there in front of whatever your favorite meal would be. Mine would be scallops or something like that. And your arms are too short to reach the plate and you can't get it up to your mouth, or your mouth is sewn shut, but you can smell everything. That's what it feels like when you see how clearly the straight line is to victory, but everybody wants to take you down all these rabbit trails. The only thing federal about the Federal Reserve is a name. It's like FedEx, blah, blah, blah. It makes you angry. It makes me angry. And then I realize the reason why they say stupid shit is because, back to my whole original point, the people at the top are lying. And until we as a people band together, it won't matter what party you're in. Do you understand? I'm sitting there fighting. With Howard Schweitzer of the Green Party. He's in their money reform group. And this guy has got a million rabbit trails that you've got to go down before you can ever solve a Green New Deal. And I called him out for it. You're damn right I did. We got this short window to address climate change. Very, very small window. That means we've got to do things, not just dream about things, but do things in real short order. But he's running around in these listservs, doing videos, ridiculous videos, but doing videos, talking about how we're going to run up the national debt. This is your Green Party, friends. Worried about running up the national debt. That sounds very right-wing to me. But then turns around and says that I'm misrepresenting them. And I'm like, well, absolutely not. You guys had a Green New Deal. That was your name. You guys put it out there. But yet you couldn't close the deal. You couldn't take aim and really put that into the public consciousness because you were spending your time talking about ending the Fed. You blew your load talking about ending the Fed, greening the dollar, all this moronic stuff. And there was an opportunity for you to lay claim to your Green New Deal. Well, they have a saying, lead, follow, or get the fuck out of the way. You chose the path of the squiggly line. You chose the path of the squiggly line. And that is shameful. So guess what? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Justice Dems, Sunrise Movement, they say, hey, we can't be worried about who owns what and what owns who. We got to get a Green New Deal out there, period. And so now what happens? The people that were busy talking about ending the Fed, busy talking about greening the dollar, busy talking about how we don't have a sovereign currency, busy talking about how we have to worry about the national debt, worried about running around telling everybody that MMT is a psyop. Those same people now whining that somebody leapfrogged them and took the Green New Deal to the finish line and is actually out there fighting for it. "12 years is nothing. 12 years goes by just like that. And if you've ever watched a bill try to go through Congress and how much energy it takes for the people outside of Congress to overcome the lobbyists and all the other shit that goes on in there, you know that if they're going to try and advance end the Fed, then I still don't need act and all this other crazy nonsense. At a time in history, more importantly, where we only have a small window to act before we all end up in very bad shape, many dead. You're not fit to lead. You're not fit to govern. You're not fit for public discourse. You've forsaken your spot in the pecking order. You have forsaken your legitimacy. Folks, there are some very legitimate points to be made at different times, but they're not always the priority. I operate in something called Agile. We work in what we call Scrum. And so what you do is you have a product backlog of things that have to get done. And you have people that prioritize what has to get done in what order. Kind of like an order of operations, what's going to kill you first. We got 12 years on the environment side. 12 years. And that's, again, let me be real clear. That is not to come up with a plan. That's to have already made a massive plan, instituted it, and then bring down the carbon way down, the carbon footprint way down. 12 years. But they want to green the dollar. They want to end the Fed. They want to stop the banksters. Not realizing that the reason why all that shit goes on is because they're not spending on the people. If they understood that by spending on the things that the people need, like a job guarantee, a green job guarantee, to put people to work towards addressing climate change. Many people that are working as baristas and stuff like that, that have massive degrees and other things, could be put to use for greater purposes if the jobs were available and the austerity wasn't there. So now we have this opportunity. But instead of hearing, how can we pitch in because we see the disaster looming, it's, well, we came up with the name Green New Deal. Unfit to lead. When I hear that, I say unfit to lead. Unfit to govern. As bad as the Democrats screwed the pooch, if you can look worse, you've really done something special. You take from that what you want. But I'm telling you right now, as bad as the Democrats have looked, to make them look legit, you got to really, really screw it up, don't you? How about them apples? That's pretty bad. So you look at this. How many of you all have been unemployed? Show of hands, I'm sure everybody's probably raising their hand immediately, right? I get phone calls round the clock. Mr. Grumbine, when are you going to pay your student loans? You made too much this period of time, Mr. Grumbine, so you don't qualify for this loan. You never worked for this kind of agency. You don't have these things going on, so you can't get a deferment. You can't get a forbearance. 12 things hit the credit report at once, all of a sudden dropping me from a 700 something down to a 300 something. Unemployment sucks. It rips your soul apart. And guys, I am credentialed. I got skills. And I got a family. And people want to play games. That job guarantee with that Green New Deal, would that just about make us all square now, wouldn't it? And then you look at the fact that I'm sitting there with 2 abscess teeth, one on the top, one on the bottom. Can't sleep at night, got no health benefits, got no dental benefits. Sitting there trying to clean my teeth to the point where there's nothing going on there, and then putting Ambisol on it and hoping to God I can go to sleep in time so that I don't feel it before I go to sleep, because otherwise I'll stay up all night. And then, oh, by the way, if I do take melatonin or something like that, my son will wake up because he's going through something right now. So for the last couple of weeks, I got about 25 hours sleep total, like 2 hours a night. And this is what the cost of unemployment is. This is what the cost of not having health care is. You know, I take something called Stelara. It's a immunosuppressor, biologic, that works on psoriatic arthritis and other immune disorders. The last shot I took was in the middle of August. It's a once every 3-month shot. Well, when you have arthritis and it's starting to get really cold outside and you can't take your biologic, now all of a sudden you're limping around. Hurts to lift your son up because your wrists hurt. Folks, I'm a mess. Straight up. I'm an educated, unemployed mess without health care, without dental care, and a stack load of student debt. And a special needs kid to boot. And I say this to you, not for pity, but because I'm just another number. I'm a statistic. There's a million of us out there like this. And yet they want to green the dollar. They want to end the Fed. They want to chase the Rothschilds. They want to do all this nonsense. And let me tell you, brother and sister, when you're struggling and you're in pain and you got some nimwit chasing conspiracy drivel, you got about that much patience for that shit, right? About that much patience. That's where I'm at. Now, I don't know if that makes any sense to you. But when the people themselves know what's up, it doesn't matter who's paying Congress's tab. It doesn't matter who's paying whose tab. Look at France right now and the yellow vests. They have some minor victories, but they're starting to wake up to it. And it's all the same stuff going on. It's all the same stuff. Unfair taxes, austerity, cut reduction in social services. Wealthy getting more wealthy, poor getting more poor. This picture being evidenced over there as well. But I've got absolutely zero tolerance. Zero. When I say zero, folks, I'm talking about less than zero. Like if zero could do that, I have less than zero tolerance for people that are all over the map. You see these horrible situations with war, You see all these horrible situations with starvation and poverty and climate change and you name it. And it all comes down to the fact that we have allowed this idea of capitalism run amok, which is neoliberalism. We've allowed them to make us all believe that all the governments are too weak, too powerless, too broke to do anything. And that's why you see people out there celebrating Bill Gates for doing something for the African people. Or you see somebody celebrating Elon Musk with his ideas about space. Or you see them celebrating all these wealthy gods, Warren Buffett, you name it. Because they worthlessly believe that dollars grow on rich people instead of understanding it's our government. So I don't care if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is some sellout or sheepdog or whatever low-hanging fruit the dollarati throw out there. Until you're talking about the right subject and staying focused on that one straight line, until you get the straight line down, you have no idea what we're capable of. While you're sitting there spinning us all over the place, taking away all of our energy. Oh, we got to chase this thing. We got to chase that thing. Oh my God, here's another post over here about something completely unrelated. But what about this thing? How about this thing? How about this thing? How about this thing? How about that thing? While you're doing that and bleeding energy from the movement, feeling very self-satisfied in your critique of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, feeling very justified. God, I'm such a purist. I feel so justified. Instead of worrying about the movement, it doesn't matter. She could be the biggest shaggy DA sheepdog you've ever seen in your life, and it wouldn't matter, because what she's doing is she's making people that otherwise don't think about a Green New Deal. Millions and millions of people are starting to wake up to the idea that we can do nice things. All of a sudden, they're not thinking in terms of austerity anymore, sheepdog or not. Do you understand? When the people have hope, when the people see a bigger vision, it doesn't matter what the politicos do, because the people, when they rise up and say, no, I know you can afford it. I know you can. And they stop worthlessly saying, well, we can reduce spending on the military so that we can afford to have health care over here. Always wanting to set up hurdles before we get health care. Always wanting to set up new hurdles before we give people a job guarantee. Always wanting to set up hurdles before we have green energy. Well, no. We can't have green energy until I get my 5 pet things done. The zigzag effect, man. The zigzag effect. It is comical when I see the people that are too cool for school not realizing that by doing a Green New Deal, it takes away, folks, I'm telling you right now, so much shit changes. Xenophobia. When you're no longer worried about fake scarcity. When you're not, you know what? I see people that are very, very, I'll use the Israel-Palestine thing. See people that are very, very focused on that, very, very focused on the travesty, and it is a travesty of what is going on against the Palestinian people. But those same people are the same morons talking about the Rothschilds and destroying millions more. Who's the murderer? See, I don't have any patience for them. Others might. Others might find it in their heart to embrace them because they support this thing against this war, but while at the same time simultaneously condemning millions to death. I don't accept that, because I know that the fallout from bad economic decisions is greater than you will ever know. And that includes refugees coming to this country When people aren't desperate and they understand that money doesn't come from rich people and that they aren't going to be without a job because there's some poor person coming up from the South or some Muslim coming to this country because we can't stop bombing the shit out of them. When people start realizing that, the pressure will be so intense to stop war that it won't be funny. We've got to find a way, because right now, here's what's happening. You got a hardy band of 3 or 4% of these little teeny people that are really, really outraged at, wars that they can't see way over there. Not realizing that because we don't have a job guarantee in this country, that the military is the employer of last resort. Because they can't see this, they don't focus on it. They focus on this over here, and it diverts everything. Now, everybody's chasing everything, and we're dispersed, and we're zero good. We're zero good because they can diffuse small pockets of resistance. Little resistance there, little resistance there. It feels good. Damn, it feels good. It's tasty. It's got an extra spice to it. It makes you feel alive. But the reality is that it never works. It requires us to understand the role here of our federal government. And when the people understand that, we can achieve great things to shut that shit right down. People are literally sitting there unable to sleep at night. How in the world are they going to focus on some faraway war when they can't even eat right now? Think about it, please. If you grok fail this, there's a million other things you're going to grok fail along the way during your twisty-turny pathway. That twisty-turny pipe, that's all over the place. Have you ever been around somebody that jumps subject to subject constantly, and you're like, wait, what are you doing? I can't follow you. Wait. Slow down. Back up 20 steps, Chauncey. What was that you were talking about? What was so Tula what? I can't roll that way, man. And it's not because I can't multitask, folks. If you only knew how many balls I have up in the air, I'm fine with multitasking. I can multi-thread all day long. But the average person cannot. Truly cannot. And when I talk to regular rank and file people, the normal people that vote, they don't care. Folks, they don't care. They barely care about a new deal. They're just like, does somebody say something about a new deal? What? I'm not joking. We live in these little pockets online, these little Facebook pockets, these little Twitter pockets. We run in our own little tribes. And we convince ourselves that we've got all this energy behind us. But it's a whirling dervish in a teacup in the real deal. You want to see the truth? Take yourself a camera phone and walk through Walmart someday. A little microphone. Go up to individuals and say, hey, do you know what the Green New Deal is? Oh, it's that damn socialist thing. They're trying to turn us into communist China. Folks, I'm telling you right now, the real war is overcoming that. You want to sit there and play these games, knock yourself out. But just know we won't have anything. And then just like in that movie, Glengarry Glen Ross, you'll be sitting there going, yeah, I was an activist once. Tough racket. We've got to stay the course. We've got to stay focused. Because I'm telling you, outside of our little bubble, these people don't know what the hell we're talking about. And Facebook has shut us down. We used to hit millions of people a month, man. Now, as soon as they start seeing us gain momentum, they choke us back again. And the ones that do have wide open, they're not saying anything threatening. They're not saying anything useful. They're just people collecting. You know, I'm watching third-party friends. And folks, these are friends of mine, people I support. I want to be real clear about that. But instead of talking about advancing the movement for a New Deal, they want to spend their time talking about somebody being a sheepdog. They want to spend their time talking about how bad the other party is. Well, folks, we know how bad the other party is because you're not talking to regular people. You're talking within this teacup, within the bubble. Try your, that whole harsh, like purity testing out there. Once you go one step outside the bubble, watch how quickly they just go, what? What'd you say? Huh? I'm telling you, man, people don't know this. They don't care. They don't listen. They don't have time. Their lives are fucked up. They don't want to hear about your special pet idea. We got to pick something and focus. And folks, we got 12 years. A Green New Deal, a job guarantee. Think about this. A job guarantee even speaks to Republicans, for God's sake. Start thinking bigger than your own little teeny party world. Start thinking about humanity. Start thinking about the animal kingdom. Start thinking about the ecology. Think about the real debt you're passing on to your children. The real debt, which is a planet that can't sustain life. Do something esteemable. I'm telling you right now, bleeding off energy a million different directions. I've been able to stay largely on message now for almost 10 years. 4 in particular. And it's not been dependent on Bernie Sanders. It's not been dependent on Jill. Let's be fair, both of them say the wrong things. But both of them are helping advance the kind of thinking, the idea that we can have nice things. So I don't really care about their perfections or imperfections. I'm not worried about whether you like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or not. She's out there in Nancy Pelosi's office screaming about a New Deal. I don't care if in the end she realizes as a freshman house, she doesn't have any real clout. And so why in the world would she end her political career before it begins? And whatever. All I care is that she is making the American people believe that we can have a New Deal. Have you ever listened to a Vote Blue sycophant before? I mean, forget, I'm talking about the regular rank and file. They don't hear anything unless they hear it from their own people, unless their party is advancing it. They don't hear it. It doesn't matter what you're talking about, what the subject matter is. They don't hear. They just say it's better than a Republican. That's the only thing that comes out of their mouth. It's better than a Republican. Okay, yeah, and that's a real tall bar, man. We're setting it up high, ain't we? Woo-hoo! But that's the deal. So now you've got a Democrat advancing this. It's one of the 2 dominant parties that has a large number of people. Well, independents should already be championing for a Green New Deal, right? Right, Green Party? Right, all you righteous lefties? So welcome to the party, Democrats. We needed you anyway because we claim to want to support the 99%. Unless, of course, they might be sheepdogging for their party. Then we don't want to support them. Then we can't. Then they're not part of the 99 anymore. We're going for the 75%. Oh, no, those people are, we're going for the 51%. What? Well, if we get 35%, I'll be happy. What? 1.8%. Ain't nothing going down at 1.8%, folks. Ain't nothing going down at 0.8%. Ain't not a damn thing going on at 0.8%. Folks, you can't even pick a booger at 0.8%. You can't even select the paint at the junkyard with 0.8%. You can't even choose who's going to cut the grass at 0.8%. That's no joke. You don't even get to pick your ISP at 0.8%. Now you get to be told, speak when spoken to at 0.8%. That's pathetic. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is why parties, if we're in a movement and we're thinking parties, we're screwed. There's no shot here. We literally have no shot. It comes by advancing this as a movement, and only then. Greens say they want a Green New Deal. Prove it. Justice Democrats say they want a Green New Deal. Prove it. Independents claim they want a New Deal on socialism and all that stuff. Well, this ain't perfect socialism, but God damn, it's closer than that. Prove it. Here you go. Put up or shut up time. It's the only way it's going to happen, my friends. And then I bring you back, because I swear to God, you know what? That movie, The Purge. Envision we're coming up on that 12-year mark. And if you've ever seen the movie Pitch Black with Vin Diesel, and you see that moon coming across, and it's like slowly but surely blotting out the sun, right? And you say, oh shit, here come the demons. Watch what happens when people are really freaking desperate. It'll be too late then. If you remember the movie 2012, it was kind of a silly, over-the-top movie about the end of days kind of thing. You know, they get on these arcs and whatever, set sail, but all the rich people had already bought their way onto the arcs knowing that the world was going to flood. And they were all the way up there, way high in the mountains, waiting for the floods to strike. I'm not saying it's going to be like that. But what I am saying is this. When people are desperate, it's a whole different ball game. I hate to see us have to get that desperate for us to stop bleeding off energy, for us to not be focused. You know, I feel a little bit like Vin Diesel in the dark with those glasses on, those special glasses. You see, he's like, oh man, it's magical. All right. Whoo, doggy. Watching all those things coming around. And I feel like what's going to happen is the people that are not listening, they're going to be like that guy that has the shot of 151, blows it out. Whew, that big flame comes out of his mouth and all those demons are around him. That's what it's going to be like. That's your last thought. And it's like, my God, did it really have to come to that? Apparently so, because you can't stay focused. You got special things to get done, man. Neat little ideas that don't amount to us living long, but damn it, you want to get them done. And that's important. You know, it's funny because I sit there and I talk about this sometimes, and, you know, people don't think I'm serious, but I'm going to show you this picture. This is, you know, politicians, right? Before and after elections. And it's like, wow, I wonder if this is going to ever play out to be true. I wonder if politicians are going to screw us. Because it never happens. It never happens, guys. Never happens, right? Only it does happen all the time, right? All the time it happens. So it's kind of like doing the same shit over and over again, expecting different results. You know, I look at it like this. If you don't want that scenario, you got to do something different. You got to do something different. And that brings me back to square one. The straight line. That straight line is our only prayer in 12 years. Now, it just so happens to be correct also. That's the best part of it. Ro Khanna. He's a sheepdog. He's silicon this. He's got money coming from that. He's blah, 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 blah. I'm not here carping for a freaking Democrat. That's not it at all. Guess what Ro Khanna's saying, though? Ro Khanna is saying, hey, listen to Stephanie Kelton. She might have a clue how this game's played. I remember walking up to Ro Khanna in Washington, D.C., and we were at the Millions for Medicare March. I was getting ready to talk. And of course, I was going to talk about modern monetary theory because I think talking about Medicare for all by itself is a silly proposition. I think that should be packaged with a grand, ginormous New Deal. New Deal Part 2, right? I wasn't calling it a Green New Deal because I thought we had other things we could accomplish beyond that. But they're calling it a Green New Deal, so let's do it. But I remember standing there with him and I shook his hand and I came up to him and I said, dude, I know you know the code, brother. I know you know MMT. Why don't you speak it more? He said, well, it's going to be hard to convince people about inflation. They're concerned about inflation. It's hard to really talk to people about that because they don't really have a lot of time to hear what you're saying. Messaging's important. So let's try and still win. I was like, didn't satisfy here because I love hearing a proper MMT message because it's truth. But as things were happening, as Kelton's stature was growing, as MMT was blossoming, think about how stupid it was even a year ago with people saying, MMT is a cult, MMT is a cult. Now, how stupid do they look now? How utterly worthless do they look now after saying that? Here we are, the only grown-ups in the room fighting for a Green New Deal for real, not taking our eyes off the prize, not deviating, not jumping, not going back and forth, not doing some silly nonsense, but going straight for the prize. Straight for the prize. Straight for the prize. That's what grown-ups do. They go straight for the fucking prize. And that's what we're doing. And that's what it's going to take. And as I sat there with Ro Khanna that day, I said, this guy's got a presence about him. Now, he may turn out to be a complete and utter boob in the end. I don't think so, but maybe he will. Maybe he ends up being a sheepdog sellout, long list of whatever it is that people say every time somebody doesn't do what they think. Whatever it is, he may be that. But he and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are the only two that stood up at all and voiced any pushback against Nancy Pelosi. It was pretty strong pushback in the beginning because of the pay-go factor. But a little bit of insight made me realize after talking to a few people offline, off record, and even on record, that the amount of time it will take to advance the writing of a Green New Deal. The writing, not just the negotiating, all other shit, the writing of it will put us into 2020, probably for sure. 2020 will be the year of the Green New Deal. You'll have a president running either for a Green New Deal. In other words, the Green New Deal will be the campaign. And whoever is over there is going to have to contend with pushing a Green New Deal forward. It's going to take a lot of work, but guess what? It's not going to get passed. So even if Pelosi does some bullshit with this pay-go crap, that's not going to be on the table for at least 2020. That's 2019 in about 15 minutes, right? So that means it's like a year away. Well, a little bit more than that, but you get the point. Year and a half, 2 years, or whatever. It's going to take that long to get the energy to push this forward. And if everybody's bleeding off that energy, it ain't happening. And then the purge hits. Then pitch black hits. Then all the other insanity hits. And that, my friends, is unacceptable. Being unemployed today is hard enough. I can't imagine what it will be in a few years. I can't imagine how horrible it will be when you look around and you see how bad it is in the third world countries that don't have access to clean water, that don't have access to basic health care. Forget Medicare for all or anything lofty like that. They don't even have medical tents set up properly, right? Malaria, dysentery, all kinds of diseases, you name it, because they don't have proper sanitation, you name it. And you start thinking about how good we have it, and then you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, fuck that noise. We need to have what we need to have now, here, and we need them to have it too. It doesn't have to be either or. We all can have it. And that hope is an American exceptional moment that we could have by helping other people dream a better dream too, without going and bombing the shit out of them. By using our online connections, by using our activism to join forces with those yellow vests and others, folks, people that are actually fighting for this stuff, the same anti-austerity measures. An anti-austerity movement at a global level and a green movement to save ourselves from extinction is where it's at. A job guarantee for all, because guys, listen, it's going to take everybody, and we might even need some immigrant labor to meet the needs of a Green New Deal. Do you understand? Too many jobs, almost more jobs than we have people for. And there goes that UBI, huh? One more screw up for the people that don't pay attention to economics. There's going to be so much freaking work. We're not going to know what to do with ourselves. And that's going to really piss me off with the people that pushed us away from getting to this also. But here we are. A real opportunity to unite a global movement, the likes of which we've never seen before. Learn to accept an ally, even if they're imperfect, and stay focused on the prize. I'm not telling you to Dem enter. I'm not telling you to Green enter. I'm not telling you to MPP enter. I'm not telling you to PIP enter. I'm not telling you to SA enter. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm telling you to stay focused on advancing a Green New Deal. Because you know what happens? Let's just say hypothetically your third party suddenly gets to a point where people are getting elected to Congress. Let's just assume we get 3 of you elected out of 535. Or hell, let's say we get 25 of you elected out of 535. Now what? How are you going to govern with people you refuse to work with? Seriously, I mean, this is a fairly legitimate, straightforward question. How are you going to govern with people you can't even talk to? You're too good. Oh, sheepdog. How are you going to govern with that? You've got to govern. You've got to work in coalitions whether you like it or not. Think about what I'm saying. I'm serious. It's a very important point I'm making here. I love Rodolfo Cortez. Rodolfo is one of the good guys, and he's out there fighting in the Green Party about MMT. One of the really good guys. But Rodolfo by himself, he's going to have to go along with people on some things, or he's going to have to abstain from every vote. All of a sudden, he's signing a bill that he didn't really like 100% because it didn't say it exactly the way he wanted, but he's just one guy. So is Rodolfo suddenly, if he did that, would he be a sellout? Hey, Rodolfo, you're a sellout, man. You signed onto the bill that gave everybody health care, but it also didn't say the specific language about my anti-war measure over here. Well, shit on a stick. I voted for the bill that was in front of me. I'm one person. That's not how governance works, folks. It's a representative democracy. And the other 534 people voted the way they voted. I cast my vote in good conscience. You understand? I mean, I feel like sometimes people just choose not to think anymore. They like put their thinking cap somewhere and just forgot about it. Ignored it completely. We've got 12 years to get this shit right. And we don't have 12. We actually have like only 3 or 4 to really, really take bold steps, and then the instituting, and then the doing of the work. It's going to take a lot of work. I'd like to believe people will stay focused. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's it out of me tonight, folks. I just wanted to make sure you guys heard that from me. Think about what I'm saying. Leave us a message. I'm more than happy to answer as much as I can. But I hope you understand, I'm at my wit's end. I'm tired of people distracting me. I want people to get focused. I'm not joining you on the squiggle. I'm on the straight line. And it's not because I don't enjoy a good joyride. It's because we got 12 years and we don't have time. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Have a good night, everybody.